This is the Military Bottom Line Podcast, episode 52.
And then now that I'm, have been in the Marine Corps a little bit longer and everything like that, I'm thinking to myself, that's one of the best kept secrets of the Marine Corps. That specific billet and that job is like, more Marines need to know about it, man.
Welcome to the Military Bottom Line Podcast, where we learn from veterans and those currently serving how to make the most out of a military contract. We're here to motivate, inspire, and help you leverage your service to positively impact you professionally, personally, and financially during your military career and beyond. Hey guys, thanks so much for tuning in this week. This week I have my friend Larry Haywood. Larry and I work together as aviation operations specialist out of the Marine Corps Air Station out of Camp Pendleton. Really enjoyed my time with him. Awesome dude, former motor team Marine. But he tells his story about how he kind of wound up in the Marine Corps, never even thinking about that as an option. And now he's 12 years in, loving his time and really looking forward to the next stages of his career and excited for everything it's done for him. So I think you guys will enjoy this episode. Before we get to hearing his story, I just want to ask you guys, encourage you guys to go subscribe to the YouTube channel, whether you're currently thinking about joining or you're in the military or you're out of the military. There's more benefits and more resources for you there to learn about VA benefits, opportunities, lessons that I've learned, lessons that other people have learned that are not actually available and present on this podcast platform. Everything from the podcast to one-on-one videos are available on YouTube at Military Bottom Line. So I would definitely suggest giving that a look up and subscribing. But hope you guys enjoy the show. Welcome to the show, Larry. How you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me, man.
Dude, thanks for coming on. It's been a couple of years since we've worked together, but we stay in touch a little bit here and there, and I'm excited to see that you're now 12 years into the Marine Corps, your career, and still enjoying it, still doing it. And I'm looking forward to catching up a little bit to hear the full story.
Yeah, man. It has been some years. But every time we catch up, though, it's always fun. It's always fun.
Always fun, man. Tell us all about where you're from and how you found yourself in the Marine Corps in the first place.
Okay, so I'm from San Jose, California. I was born and raised I was born in Fresno. Grew up in San Jose. That's where I spent the majority of my youth, all over the Bay Area. So it was how I found myself coming to the Marine Corps was an interesting story, actually, because I had no idea about the military, none whatsoever. The only information I had about the military was movies and stuff like that I'd watched, right? I think at the time, my favorite military style movie besides Major Payne was G.I. Jane, believe it or not.
That's a good one.
Yeah, right? So I like Major Payne and then I like G.I. Jane. It was like, and I remember the day that I met my recruiter, I was taking college classes at San Jose City because I went to Lincoln High School. Mm-hmm. And my recruiter, the guy who recruited me, he was talking to another individual. He was talking to another guy. And that kid was trying to get away from the recruiter. So he was like, yo, man, I'm not really that interested. I got to go. But maybe this man's right here. Maybe my homeboy right here. He seems like he might be interested, right? And now that I think back, I had no idea who that kid was. Like, I'd never seen him before.
Too funny. He was just trying to get out of the situation.
Yeah, he was just trying to get out of the situation, talking to him. So I was like, huh? What? And he was like, hey, man, I'm freaking Sergeant, so-and-so. Forget it. I'll just tell you. His name's Sergeant Rutherford at the time, right? So He's like, hey, I'm Sergeant Rutherford. I know you're in passing. I don't even know if you're interested or anything like that, but here's my card. You know what I'm saying? If you ever think about, military, give me a call. Right. And I'm like, man, I'm late for class. Sure. Took the card, put it in my pocket, never thought about it again. Right. About 2 to 3 weeks later, I'm at my high school. Right. It's lunchtime. I'm chilling, hanging out and everything like that. And I see that same recruiter at my high school. And he looks at me and I look at him. I'm like, what's up, man? And he was all like, aren't you a college student? And I was like, nah, I'm a high school student. And he was like, but I saw you at City. And I was like, yeah, I take classes there, but I'm a senior. And he was like, well, then, since this is my second time seeing you, why don't we sit down and talk? And I'm like, man, I got football practice after school. Like, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, how about this, man? If you give me some time, I'll buy you something to eat. We'll sit down. We'll have a conversation. It'd be great. I was like, all right. Back then, like, I didn't have much going up back then. Like, so if anybody was willing to feed me, I was there.
Yeah.
Food
Yeah. Free
was
meal.
my like Achilles heel. Like, hey, Larry, I need you to do something like this. If you do it, I'll feed you. Say less. What you need me to do? Like,
Right on.
I didn't care what it was. If you was paying me or you was giving me food, say less. I'm there, right? So we sat down, we talked and everything like that. And I told him, you know, what I wanted out of life and everything like that. Cause growing up was not, I mean, I guess it was a typical inner city Black youth kid. You know what I'm saying? Like moms had adversity. I had a lot of adversity, you know what I mean? Like, but I also had like a little brother to take care of, you know, and bouncing around from place to place. So I told him I wanted something stable. I wanted to be able to prove everybody wrong because they were like, oh, he's probably going to end up in jail by the time he turns 18. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, ugh. And I'm not going to lie, there were some times there where I almost proved him right. But you know what I mean? Like, I told him, like, I was like, look, man, I don't want to be another stereotype. I don't want to be another dude just out here on the streets, you know, hustling to try to like to make money, you know what I'm saying? Trying to get a job here and there, you know what I'm saying? But can't keep a job because I can't seem to make it there on time. I was like, I want more for myself. I want to break the cycle. Yeah. So he talked to me, told me what the Marine Corps could offer, showed me like a little bit about his life. You know what I'm saying? At that time, he had been to Iraq and stuff like that, right? And he was telling me and everything like that. And I was like, cool, seems cool, right? And I made the decision to do it. And to be honest with you, I don't look back. I think
it only took him one conversation.
No, so we had been talking. So me and him talked for like maybe I think we sat down like maybe twice.
Okay.
Twice, but it wasn't like I sat down with him on one day and then like I sat down with him like the next day. It was like I sat down with him one day and then like I, you know, got really busy with sports or whatever. And then I saw him again and we sat down again, you know what I'm saying? But it wasn't like months apart. It was just like, hey man, like I know you're interested. Let's do this. Right. And I was like, okay. Once I saw the value in it and I got out of my own head and was like, because before I sat down and talked to him, I didn't know anything about the military. It wasn't on my peer view. I was just thinking graduate high school so I can get a college degree and I can figure out some kind of career to work in. So that way I don't have to live how I'm living right now. You know what I'm saying? Hand to mouth. So it's that was my plan. And he showed me that there was a way for me to live better without having to struggle like that and still get a college degree. And for me, having that college degree meant something because nobody in my family that I knew of at that time had a college degree. Like later on, like, you know what I'm saying? Some of my family members, they went back to school, they got their degrees. But at the time, it wasn't a thing. Most of my family members didn't even graduate high school. Hell, my mom didn't graduate high school. You know what I mean? So it was just like, okay.
So what kind of, I mean, what did you have as an expectation going in? Like, did you want a specific job or are you just like, you know what? Yeah, I'm going to do this. Just send me in, coach. Like, I mean, how did that play out?
So I've always been a kind of like point and shoot kind of dude. So it's always been like, yo, send Larry in that direction and just watch him go. You know what I'm saying? And that's just pretty much how I've always lived my life. Like, yo, you want me to do something? Tell me what you need me to do and I'll freaking do it. Yeah. When it came to the Marine Corps and I finally started to wrap my head that I was going to be a Marine, that I was going to like go to recruit training, I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go full retard, you know, like Tropic Thunder. You never go full retard, man. You never go full retard. I was like, I'm going full retard if I'm going to do this, right? Like I walked into my recruiting office and he was like, all right, man, it's time for us to discuss jobs. Like, these are your scores. What do you want to do? And I looked my recruiter in the eye, looked my recruiter in the eye and was all like, I want to be a weapons specialist. And he was like,
did you know anything about that, or you just said like that sounds cool?
that was just what I wanted to do.
Okay.
Verbatim, I was like, I want to be a weapons specialist. I want to be the guy that every Marine goes to who has questions about weapons. I want to be the guy who shoots everything. And he was like, what? I was like, I want to be that guy who, like, when he gets out, he specializes in like demolition and weapons and like combat and like firearms. Like, I want to be that guy. And he was like, no.
Shut down.
Yeah, like completely. Like, he looked me dead in my eyes and was like, nah. I was like, what? And he was like, nah, don't do it. Next. And I was like,
no kidding.
Yeah, like he shut me down.
So then did he have a job in mind for you? Like he asked to be polite, but ultimately said, this is the job I'm going to give you.
So he asked me what kind of person I consider myself. He asked me because I scored my line scores were really decent, right?
Yeah.
So he was like, well, what kind of person do you see yourself doing for work? And I was like, well, I don't want to be stuck in an office. I was like, can I do office work? Yes. Can I sit behind a computer and grind it out? I absolutely can. It does not bother me. I was like, but do I prefer to be outside? Do I prefer to see things? Do I prefer to talk to people? Yes. And he was like, motor T. And I was all like, explain. And he was like, well, he told me about motor T because he himself had came in the Marine Corps as motor T. He's like, it's one of the few jobs that you can do where the possibilities of you being able to travel and go places are endless because every unit has a motor T section. Everybody needs to be driven somewhere. And he was all like, you'll be able to see training that you probably never would see if you were stuck in an office. He's like, you'll be able to meet people that you'll probably never be able to meet unless you were out there giving them the rides and transporting stuff to them. And I was like, well, will you teach me how to work on cars too? Like, will that better my mechanic skills? Because by this time I was already a certified auto body collision repair specialist, right?
Huh.
I had went to how do you call it, a career designation school on top of high school and on top of like community college to get a certification in a career path when I got out of high school. Cause I was like, cool, cars. That's what I'm doing. I'm going to do cars. And he was like, yeah, like you'll learn more into mechanics. You'll be around vehicles on a daily basis. You'll be able to drive them. You'll be able to teach people how to drive. And I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And that's what I did.
So motor T is trucks, vehicles, and everything to do with them. Like, were you specifically a mechanic, or were you a driver? I mean, what specifically did you end up doing within motor T?
So me specifically, right? I had the opportunity to be stationed at a smaller motor pool. Because there are big motor pools, as you know, in the Marine Corps, right? Where the bigger the motor pool is, the more segregated each shop is. I went into motor T as an operator. So my primary job was to transport and drive the motor vehicles. But because I was at a smaller motor pool, I also was tasked with helping the ones that were mechanics work on the vehicles. Gotcha. So I helped out with, engine pulls. I helped out with like tranny swaps, tranny fixes, like anything about the diesel engine that we put in our Humvees at the time, or MAT Vs, MRAPs, you know what I'm saying? 7 tons, anything that I could do to help out and get my hands dirty, I did. On top of teach people how to drive those vehicles and issue out licenses and stuff like that.
Gotcha. So then you went in as motor T, which is, I forgot that detail because we actually met within a different MOS. So talk a little bit about your time as a motor T Marine, where they send you, did you deploy with them? And then ultimately why you decided to change out of motor T.
Okay. So as motor T, I deployed. I was stationed at Camp Horno in Camp Pendleton, California. It was my first duty station. I met some great people there and everything like that. So our first deployment that I went on, we were on the MEU, right? So we went on the 13th MEU, saw some great things.
Briefly cover. I know we've covered it once before, but what is a MEU and like what does that deployment look like?
Okay, so a 13th MU, the MU stands for Marine Expeditionary Unit. Okay, and they're numbered depending on what coastal portion you're on, whether you're East Coast, West Coast, or stationed in Okinawa, Japan. Each location has a certain number attached to it of MUs, or Marine Expeditionary Units. So on the West Coast, we have the 31st MU, and we have like the 13th MU. And what they generally do is they patrol when they go out. They patrol CENTCOM and Asian Pacific area. East Coast does METMUs. That's what they call a Mediterranean Muse, where they do a lot of European tours and Germany and stuff like that. So just different portions of the waters is depending on what side of the U.S. you're on.
Gotcha.
So I was on the 13th MU. I was on the USS Green Bay. I don't know if that's okay to say, but I mean, I guess it is because it's already gone. So I was on the USS Green Bay. It was a new ship, so it was always breaking down because nothing brand new works perfectly fine when it first comes off the lot, right?
Of course.
And after that, I came back, right? And I was like, yo, the MU was great. I enjoyed being able to travel. It was like within my first 2 years being in the Marine Corps. And I was like, yo, that travel and adventure tag that I loved so much when I was a kid, it's coming true, right? And then, but then I was like, you know what? I want to seem like I'm contributing, because around this time it was Afghanistan, right? Because I graduated high school in 2009. So it was like, by this time we were 10 years into the war, you know what I'm saying? Starting off in Iraq and now moving to Afghanistan. And I was like, yo, I want to be a part of that. I want to contribute. And any opportunity where they were asking, hey, anybody want to volunteer? They're looking for somebody to go early. They're looking for somebody to do billets. I was always the first person to raise my hand, like, yo, let me go. But what ended up happening was the whole unit ended up going. The whole unit ended up being able to go. So I was like, sweet. And that was my time to go out there and contribute.
So this is what, like year 3 in the Marine Corps? Or how far into the Marine Corps are you at this point?
Yeah, I'm about like year 3 in my first contract around this. Yeah, about my 3rd year. Because like I came back from the MU. 6 months was here, like just relaxing and everything like that, and then started my workup for Afghanistan. So we're out there, we're doing what we needed to do and everything like that. And then on our back end, what made me, essentially change jobs and go to the job that I met you in was there was complications with my reenlistment. So, just like with any job, with any career, there are certain people sometimes that are in place that don't hold up their end of their job. You know what I'm saying? They don't do what they're supposed to do. In the Marine Corps, we have career planners and everything like that. Those infamous career planners, or career jammers, as we like to call them, and stuff like that.
Basically, recruiters for people who are already in the Marine Corps. I mean, is that a fair way to... Yeah. Okay.
Pretty much what they are. They're recruiters for people that are already in the military, already in the Marine Corps, to try to get them to stay in the Marine Corps instead of getting out. Yeah. So I was all about it, because I was like, you know what? I'm trying to do another 4 years because I haven't finished what I wanted to do. I haven't finished what's on my checklist of things to accomplish. So I'm like, I'm staying in. Submitted my reenlistment package when we were in Afghanistan. As well as a package to do MSG for the second time, because the first time I submitted, I got denied for it. Second time I submitted, I was in Afghanistan and I submitted it with my reenlistment and got denied for MSG while we were in Afghanistan. And then the CO was taking his time signing my package. Then the career planner went back early from Afghanistan. When the whole unit got back, he had lost my reenlistment package. So I had to redo it all in like a few days. And by the time we got back, there was 6 spots left open, but 10 people trying to compete for those spots.
For your more T slots.
Yeah, for slots to stay in. And I was like, man. And then I remember thinking on the day that they said the board was going to be closed and everything was going to be final, maybe a day before that, the regimental. So we have company, battalion, regimental, right? Our regimental career planner calls me up on my cell phone, my personal cell phone. It was like, hey man, this is Gunny so-and-so. I'm trying to see what your plans are. Like, are you trying to get out of the Marine Corps or are you staying in? And I was like, I'm staying in. And I submitted my reenlistment. And he was like, let me check. Goes on his computer, does what he needs to do, right? And he's like, nah, man, we don't have a reenlistment submitted for you. And I was like, no, my career planner definitely submitted it. And he was all like, dude, I'm looking at it. There's nothing for you. And I was like, so he was like, look, man, I know you got a few months left to your EAS, because by this time I had 4 months left in the Marine Corps, right?
Yeah.
He was like, I know you got a few months left in the Marine Corps. You might want to reach out to your career planner and see what he can do for you. He's like, but at this point, you can't stay in your MOS, so he'll tell you what you can do, what your options are, right? So I'm like,
unreal. So you were forced to change MOSs.
I was,
because you want to stay in. Dude,
yes.
That sucks.
Yeah. It was not the best. It was not the best experience. But I mean, like I said, he was like everybody, like everywhere you go, there's somebody who drops the ball and doesn't do what they're supposed to do. So, I mean, the Marine Corps is no different. Sometimes there's just people in there that just shouldn't be in that position. And, the only way to make it better is to freaking change it,
Did that experience like leave any sour taste and make you want to get out during that time? Were you like, screw this, like this guy sucks. This guy screwed me. I'm just gonna get out. Did you have that thought at all?
For a brief moment, not that I had a sour taste in my mouth. Mm-hmm. I was just, I felt like I had to come to a realization that my Marine Corps career, my military career could have ended as soon as it started. Cause like in my mind, like I was like, yo, I'm just starting to do fun things. I'm just starting to get out there and do things, and it's all coming to an end. And I was like, wow. So I started thinking to myself, I remember I took leave and came home. And the whole time I was home, I kept thinking to myself, like, what would I do right now? I got out yesterday. And I was like, oh, man, I don't even know. And then it just got to a point where I was like, nah, dude, I want to be a Marine. Like, that's what I want to do. Like, that's what I enjoy doing, Mm-hmm. And because there were friends that were like, dude, don't go back. Just stay home. Don't reenlist, stay home. And I'm like, bro, are you going to pay my bills? Uh-huh. I got a whole car note. Like, are you going to pay that car payment? Are you going to pay my phone bill? Or I got to go back to Metro where I got to pay like $40-$50 a month, then kind of figure out where I'm going to find that $40-$50 a month. Yeah. I was like, nah, man. Nah, I'm good, fam. So that's cool.
What did you end up choosing for a job? Did you have a wide variety of options, or was it like slim pickings?
I did. So I qualified for intelligence. I qualified for legal, and I qualified for aviation ops. Well, I qualified for a bunch of them. Sure. I qualified for a lot of other jobs, but those were the three that interest me. Gotcha. Me being a young man and being an uneducated Marine just yet, like about all the different jobs. I thought intel because I was like, oh, I can do some secret spy type stuff. You know what I'm saying? Do secret world type things. Yeah. So I was like, that might be cool. And then I thought legal because I remember the movie A Few Good Men. And I was all like, I want to be that dude yelling at somebody like, where were you?
So funny how all these like military jobs, we just think back to a movie that's like, oh, that looks like it would have been fun. Let's go for that. When dude, it's just such a poor representation of what that job is actually like.
It really is. It really is. Because legal assisting is like a lot of paperwork. It's more towards being a paralegal than actually being a lawyer. At the time, I didn't know that you had to be only officers could be lawyers. So I was like, man. Well, I mean, I was like, well, luckily that didn't work. So, and then the last one was, our MOS. But what got me about aviation operations is that I thought aviation operations specialist meant that I was going to be a crew chief, that I was going to fly planes and be in control of the day-to-day operations of a plane.
Yeah.
That's what I thought it meant. That's what I thought it was going to entail.
It's so funny that even after you've been in for one contract, you could still be so naive when selecting a
Right?
job. Like sometimes you just stay in the dark, and that's okay. But
Yeah.
how's the job been to this point? Because now you've been doing it for 8 years.
Um, it's been great. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
It has. It's been good. Hell, when I met you, we were at Camp Pendleton at the air station. You know what I'm saying? And I remember thinking to myself, like, all right, I've been at Pendleton for 4 years now. You know what I'm saying? It's time for me to go see something different. It's time for me to go do something different.
Yeah.
And I remember being upset because the air station is non-deployable. It doesn't go nowhere, right?
Yeah.
And then now that I'm, have been in the Marine Corps a little bit longer and everything like that, I'm thinking to myself, yo, that's one of the best kept secrets of the Marine Corps. That specific billet and that job is like, more Marines need to know about it, man. Cause like you have so much time to do other things that you don't necessarily always have the time to do in other units,
I think it's really good for us, like a second term Marine. But
Mm-hmm.
when you join to do all the exciting stuff and then you don't get to do those exciting things, it makes the first term a little bit disappointing.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things that it's like those billets should be reserved for second term Marines. But
Yeah, I do agree with you on that because I remember when I first got there, you guys were telling me like all of you guys that were there, it was your first duty station, and I had thought you guys had been somewhere else, and you guys were like, no, been here for 4 years, and I'm like,
yeah, you make the most of it,
Yeah.
So talk about those contrasts. So you went from ground side motor T to air wing aviation operations. Like what's the cultural difference? What's like the day-to-day difference? Did you feel like it was still the same Marine Corps?
So coming from ground side,
you can be
right?
honest, it's okay.
Yeah, right. Like coming from ground side, it's like a club full of jocks. That's what it is when you're ground side and you're in some of these units, right? And this was before they started implementing women into like the Linus program, or women could be integrated into Victor units. That's what you call like all male grunt units, right? Because that's what I was at first, right? Mm-hmm. So coming from all male units where the only women you saw were like the ones that worked at the PX or the Chow Hall, or the ones that were like dating one of the Marines or something like that, right?
Yeah.
So working next to them was like, I don't know what I can and cannot say. Like, I'm gonna just be quiet because I don't want to say something that offends anybody.
Yeah.
Like, groundside Marines had this whole outlook of aviation being like, always having time off and doing nothing but working out and being lazy and you know what I'm saying, and there's girls everywhere, you know what I'm saying, and it's like this la la land to groundside, like, oh, they get everything, it's great. And then I came to the wing and I was just like, yo, they work a lot.
Yeah.
It's like we work a lot. Do we have a big presence of female Marines compared to the rest of the Marine Corps? We do. Aviation does have a big presence of female Marines. But I mean, it only makes you better because the more exposure that you get, in a controlled environment, like, in the Marine Corps, the better it'll make you interact with people when you're looking for jobs or when you're like working out in the civilian world. At least for me, that's how I felt, because like when I was working in, Target or something like that, I didn't talk to any of the women that I worked with. Like I didn't want to talk to them. I didn't want to interact with them. You know what I'm saying? But then now that I'm a Marine and everything like that, I've worked so many years alongside female Marines. I'm like, let's do this. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's chill. Like, no worries.
It would be incredibly weird to like, to be in the Marine Corps at 4 years, 8 years, however many years, like basically never interact with a woman in like on the job. And then all of a sudden you get out and like, there's no avoiding it. I can't think of a job that you're realistically going to go work after the Marine Corps that does not involve working with women. So yeah, that would be pretty wild.
And that was the big culture shock, was just like they led me to believe that I wasn't going to have the same PT regiment. And I mean, I'm not gonna lie, they were right. Like wing doesn't PT like ground side does,
Yeah.
but it's because we work different hours and different schedules that mandates that we PT on our own, you know what I'm saying? And that's when that kind of big boy, big girl aspect comes into it, because ground side is like, hey, 06, everybody's PTing, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even the head people are out there running next to you and stuff like that, waving at you as they're running and doing their PT. At the wing, 06, people are opening up the office because birds got to start flying, you know what I'm saying? Like pilots got to start warming up, like mechanics are, you know, wrenching on things and everything like that. We got to start, because the day of flying starts as soon as the sun breaks that plane, you know what I mean? So it's like,
do you feel like one career, like one of those jobs was easier than the other, or like, I mean, or more enjoyable? Like, you know, like if you were to tell a Marine, like, you have these two options, which one would you encourage them to do?
I'm not gonna lie, it's a kind of a hard question, because I love both. I'm not gonna lie. Like there are still to this day, there are days where I miss being motor T, miss being on the ground side, just because of how they operate, how they do things. You know what I'm saying? It's less red tape, less paperwork, and to be honest with you, less officers around, which I enjoy at times. But the benefits of being air wing is like, on days where there's nothing to do, you know what I'm saying? Like, I have the luxury of just sending my Marines home. Like, and I've done it on numerous occasions where it was like a Friday and I had sent them home at like noon.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We showed up to work at like 8, and then they were out of work by noon on a Friday. You know what I'm saying? And it was just like,
days.
right? Those are the good days where you're just like, But then I'm thinking to myself too, like ground side, I probably wouldn't have been out for work that early. You know,
they would just hold you for no reason. Like, I don't know. I think there's maybe a little bit more like common sense when you're working the airside job, because there are so many officers, and maybe the officers just want to go home. I don't know.
Oh yeah. I mean, so I tell them that there's positives and negatives about everything. I was like, the positives for me is, you know, working on the air wing, you do have set schedules, you know what I'm saying? You do have set work schedules, so you can plan what you're going to do, you know what I'm saying? You can plan how you're going to do things, you know what I'm saying? But then ground side, it's more like gritty, like football team mentality, where everybody's competing, everybody's like, you know, trying to push each other to be better than the next person, you know what I'm saying? It's like a steel sharpens steel kind of mentality, you know? But then it's like, they don't really care about how the job gets done, just as long as it gets done, you know, versus the air wing, where it's like, no, certain things need to happen in order for certain things to go. The ground is like, nah, man, let me just make a call. If he got it, he can give it to me. Don't worry about the paperwork. You know what I'm saying? So I tell him it's a give and take. It's a give and take. So
you've done, I'm trying to remember, you did a deployment both as motor T and as aviation operations, or no?
I have.
You have. Okay.
Yeah. Motor T was the Muse and the aviation, the Muse and the Afghanistan. The aviation operations was the actual what we call UDP. That's what I did. I went on a UDP, which half went on the MU again, and then the other half stayed and did like debts.
Yeah. Remind me what a UDP is.
A unit deployment program.
Gotcha. So that you basically went to Japan for a little bit for that one, right?
Yep. Yeah. Went back to Japan for a little bit for that one.
Cool. What have been, like, what's an opportunity within the Marine Corps that you didn't know existed until you kind of like found yourself in the Marine Corps and realized, like, okay, this is how this works. You know, like you didn't, nobody told you about it beforehand. It wasn't part of the recruiting sales pitch. And you found it and were able to take advantage of it along the way.
That's a good question.
I didn't prep you for it.
No, it's fine. It's fine. I think it's, I want to say like something that I found out that was interesting was like, for me personally, all the little like billets that you can do that translate to different things out in town, you know what I'm saying? Like all the different certifications that the Marine Corps is actually willing to pay for.
Yeah.
You know? Because we don't tell, like, at least when I came through, all they say is like, oh, you can pay for education. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But in a mindset as a kid, you're just thinking college, right? You're like, oh, okay, so they'll pay for my college. But then, somebody like myself, yourself, you know what I'm saying? Where we're like, well, what if I want to, what if I don't want to do college? What if I want to do is get my real estate license, you know what I'm saying? Or if I want to get become like a bus driver or something like that, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, you can do that. It classifies as education and the Marine Corps will pay for it, right? I think the biggest thing that I did not know that was afforded to me was how easy, and I say easy, but how easy it is to essentially become a real estate investor. And that's because, for me, one of my big reasons for joining the Marine Corps was to own my own home because I was homeless a lot growing up, right? So, having my own property that I could call my own was a big, big priority to me, right? Yeah. And I remember just after I lat moved to aviation, I was getting a ride to the air wing one day because I didn't know exactly where it was. So there was a sergeant who was giving me a ride, and he was asking me, he was like, yo, man, so you're going to reenlist, bro? What are your goals? You know what I'm saying? He's like, granted, I know our unit's been busy lately, but what are you going to do if you have more time when you get to the wing, right? And I was like, I don't know. I was like, to be honest with you, I figured I'd finish school and I guess wait until I'm able to, afford a home. And he was like, what do you mean wait until you're able to afford a home? Because I didn't know anything about, the VA home loans, you know what I'm saying? The small business loans. I didn't know anything about those. I didn't know they were offered. So when the recruiter told me that I can buy my own house through the Marine Corps, I thought he meant the Marine Corps is going to pay me enough money to be able to afford, that down payment and to be able to afford my monthly rent. I didn't know that they had whole programs for us to help us get into real estate. So I think that is one of those ones that clicked in my head, oh snaps, I can do some things with this.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you end up buying any properties out there while you were there?
I do. I own a house down in San Diego.
Nice. Yeah. Still, as even though now you live Northern California a little bit and you're renting it out.
Yeah, I just rent it out right now. Awesome. And I'm looking to purchase another one up here soon. Well, not soon, but soon. I got to figure out where I'm going to be. You know what I'm saying? If I'm going to stay in this area for the whole 3 years, or if it's going to be if I'm going to move and then finish out there. But I have been looking and stuff like that because I want to be in I want to have some real estate. You know what I'm saying?
100%, dude. 100%. That's awesome, man. And I think that goes to show the importance of having good conversations with people as often as possible. I don't know what your relationship with that sergeant was prior to that ride, but always talking about people gauging on what are they working on in their job, outside their job. How can I learn from this person? Especially somebody that's maybe been in longer than you, older than you, seasoned in something, different than what you focus on. And so it sounds like that guy gave you a pretty good gold nugget that day that you've been able to kind of run with. And now it's opened up a whole new opportunity in life,
He did. He made me feel like I was wasting time for no reason. Cause he was all like, what are you waiting for? Just go buy a house. And I was like, what do you mean? And he was like, bro, I owned my first house as a corporal. He was like, I was the same rank you are now when I bought my first house. And I was like, really? He was like, yeah, dude, I bought it, did a little renovations, turned around and flipped it, and then went to go buy another one. I was like,
dang, nice.
It's that easy.
Yeah, dude, it's funny. I've found a lot, the VA loan itself lends itself, every veteran should become a basic real estate investor, the fact that you can use the VA loan from anything from 1 to 4 units for your first property. It's there's no reason why, every veteran is not a landlord. It should just be the standard. But
it should be standard. It should be standard. But I mean, it's mainly because, we don't talk about it enough. And it's because unfortunately the newer generation that comes in, they don't like they want to do real estate. So I feel like it's going to be more popular and it's going to get talked about more.
Interesting.
But like when we were growing up, you know what I'm saying? When we were coming up in the Marine Corps, it wasn't really, you know, talked about as much. And it all really depended on like, you know, your circumstance or who you were interacting with, I think.
You're finding that a lot of younger Marines right now are talking about it?
Yeah, like I'm finding out like a lot of Marines nowadays or like younger Marines now are talking about real estate, talking about, you know, purchasing homes and like renting them out or purchasing homes, doing renos and then, you know, flipping it and everything like that. And I think it's because like, I'm not gonna lie, like, so TV now, you know, HGTV and everything like that. It was real popular over the last couple of years. You know what I'm saying? You had Property Brothers, you know, you had like all these different shows that were showing people, you know, the glamorous life of purchasing property, renovating them and selling them for profits. Now, it's not all that easy as they make it seem on TV. Don't get me wrong. It's not all that easy, but being a service member, it is definitely easier to get started than it would be for the average American.
Yeah. That's interesting. I mean, I was thinking like, I wonder if younger Marines are like coming in and talking about this, if it's, you know, if it's any way connected to social media, connected to, you know, like, you know, I don't want to say like the young generations don't want to work, but it's more, and we have access to the internet and seeing how other people are investing and living their lives and realizing like, okay, there's this thing called investing and passive income. And like, I can make money without going to work. So I didn't know if there was a connection between social media and what people are spending their time watching, listening to, and how that's kind of affecting like what young Marines are actually talking about. Cause it's definitely not something that was ever spoken about in my shop when I was a Lance Corporal, you know, like I wish it was. And so I'm pumped that those guys are talking about it now.
Oh yeah, I did too. When I was first coming up in my first shop, I did wish that they talked about it more.
Yeah.
But that's why I do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like whatever I didn't know when I was younger and I learned later on, I try to make sure that my young Marines know it now.
Yeah.
So that way later on, it's like, no, man, if you don't do anything about it, it's not because you didn't know. It's not because you didn't have the information.
Yeah.
It's because you chose not to do it. So.
For sure. Yeah. It's always important to plant the seed and then kind of like check back on that seed a little while later and see if they ever did anything with it. And hopefully that's kind of like what this, you know, this platform serves purpose from, you know, you sharing your experience, sharing what you've learned and wishing, you know, things that you wish you knew as a Lance Corporal or a PFC. So, that's awesome, man. To start kind of wrapping it up, I'm curious about, you know, what, with that being said, like what would you recommend to a young guy or girl that's enlisting in the Marine Corps today? Like how can they ensure success both in the military and outside the military as they move forward?
So for me, what I would say, some like pearls of wisdom, if I could give it to, you know, say a young person considering this. Granted, you know, like my job right now is a recruiter, but what I tell the kids now is like, look, don't close yourself off to the opportunities or, you know what I'm saying, to what could be for your future. Because you never know who you might meet or who might change your life for the better that could take you from living that same mundane, like daily grind type lifestyle to that life that you see on YouTube, that life that you see on TV. And then you never know where that one day you just wake up one morning and you're like, am I really living this life?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, this really me right now? Like, I made it. Huh. You know? And it's like, if there's anything I can say, it's that right there. Is like, don't be afraid to take a chance. One, on the service, you know what I'm saying? One, on the military, on the Marine Corps. And two, like, when you get in, take a chance on things that they offer. You know what I'm saying? Like, take a chance on like opportunities to go places and see things, you know what I'm saying? To invest. Because there are so many financial classes that the military offers for people. And the Marine Corps, like, I don't know what it is. Sometimes I think Marines just get offensive when you're like, oh man, go take a financial class. I don't need a financial class. I know how to handle finances.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Go take it.
No, you do. Go. Yeah. If you're not a millionaire, you need a financial class. Go to the class, you know? And I'm not going to lie. I was kind of that way a little bit where I was like, I'm not going to learn from a financial class. It's savings. It's simple, right? Put money in a savings and call it a day. But that's not the case. There's so much more. So that's what I would say. I would say just don't be afraid to learn anything new. Don't be afraid to try things. Get outside the comfort zone, because it might be that situation, that one time you decided to take a chance that leads you down a path of success. And the only thing that was stopping you from achieving it at an earlier point in your life was you.
Yeah. You know? 100%, dude. 100%. I like it. Where is your favorite place that the Marine Corps sent you? And least favorite, if you want to include that too. My favorite. Oh man. Okay, so my favorite place that I have been, actually, the Marine Corps didn't send me. But if you're talking about places that the Marine Corps has sent me that I love the most, it's Okinawa, Japan, and Hawaii. Hawaii's like close second, but that's only because I didn't spend more than like 3 weeks there in Hawaii. Now, if I was stationed in Hawaii, it'd probably be Hawaii number one. But it's Japan. Japan, oh my, they have my heart. The ramen alone has my heart. But I mean, they've also sent me to places like Biloxi, Mississippi, you know what I'm saying, for training. So it was like, and that was cool because I got to go to like New Orleans during Mardi Gras and like hang out, you know. So, but no, hands down, my favorite place that they have sent me was Okinawa, Japan. My favorite place that I have been while being in the Marine Corps, and it kind of like they sent me because my boss told me I had to go and take leave because I had like way too much leave saved up, and it was during a time that they were putting restrictions on how much leave you can save. Yeah, they were like, "Yo, man, you got to go somewhere. I don't care where you go, but you got to go somewhere." And I was like, "Okay." And I went to I did a whole European tour, but my favorite place on that European tour was Barcelona, Spain. Nice, man. I haven't been there yet, but I have heard only good things.
Yeah, dude. I went to Spain and fell in love. I did. The food was amazing. The people were so nice. Yeah. The weather actually wasn't too hot. It wasn't too windy. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't too humid. It was nice. Yeah. Sipping sangrias and enjoying myself.
That's the dream right there, man. That'll be you in 8 years when you retire. You go back there and do it all over again.
Yeah. I'm actually thinking about like if when I get off recruiting duty and I get orders to wherever my next duty station is, I'm gonna just be like, you know what? I got like a few years left of the Marine Corps. Time to do some traveling while I'm still in. Yeah. So that way when I retire, I don't have to worry about it. Like I don't have to be like, you know what? Now it's time to travel. Nah, I'm gonna do it all now. So that way when I do retire, I can just enjoy my life.
Good for you, man. Use that space A while you can.
Definitely.
Dude,
definitely.
Money.
Hey, I almost forgot about that space A.
I want to give an opportunity for you to share a story. This is a new thing I'm trying. So, like just a couple minutes of a funny or intense story or whatever comes to mind to kind of paint a picture of like a moment in time of your experience in the Marine Corps.
I'll give you one. So I'll tell you a story about the time that it truly solidified in my heart that I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew I was in the right place. I knew I was supposed to be a Marine.
I love it.
So I was in recruit training, right? I was in MCRD San Diego, California, right? Where the real Marines are made. And I'm sitting. It's evening BDR, right? So it's senior drill instructor time, right? So for those who don't know, it's a time of day in the evening where the drill instructors give you like an hour of just free time to relax, write letters home, take a load off before you get ready to go to bed, right? So, we're writing letters and everything like that. Everybody's talking, having a good time and everything like that. And we're about to lay down. So we lay down. And every night, just like clockwork, our knowledge hat, right? So he's like second in command, comes in and he like tells us a story. And I remember this time it was like halfway through, and I had just like maybe that Sunday before my the chaplain, the naval chaplain, right? He did a service and talked about the homesick ninja and how he comes and visits you at night, you know what I'm saying, when you're missing home and everything like that, and he'll strike. And my drill instructor was talking about other Marines in different situations. He was like, everybody close your eyes. He's like, I want you to think about everybody that came before you, everybody that'll probably come after you. All right. I want you to think about where you are today and the decision you made to be here. And I remember having my eyes closed, laying on this bed, thinking about like all my friends back home, you know what I'm saying? Then seeing faces of like people that I don't even know, like just faces of what I thought they might look like, Marines, you know what I'm saying? Like in the fight, you know what I'm saying? Currently, like in Afghanistan while I'm laying in the rack at NCRD San Diego. And he was all like, just know tomorrow it's going to be difficult. It's going to be hard. It's going to be challenging. All right. But you guys are halfway there. All right. I want you to take a moment and think about everybody else that's out there that doesn't get to lay down in a nice bed like you guys are laying in right now, that doesn't get to go home to visit their family and friends right now because they're out protecting everything that you know and love. And I want you to think about how you want to leave your mark on the Marine Corps. I want you to think about how you want to contribute to the success of this organization. And I want you to think about your brothers that are laying in the rack to the left and to the right of you and above you. And I want you to think about what would you do to make sure he got home, to make sure she comes home, to make sure that your friends and your family are still safe at night. And at this time, I'm thinking to myself, like, God, he's tugging on the heartstrings. Like, everybody's eyes are still closed, and I can hear people sniffling at this time. I can hear people tears, like, right? And, you know, we're all guys and everything like that. So, you know, don't nobody really want to cry in front of each other, but they're like, man, I'm good. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, at that moment, I knew I was where I was supposed to be. I knew that when he was describing that feeling to me, I 100% could identify with that feeling. It was like, I would do whatever I needed to do, wherever I needed to be. I would go wherever I needed to go to make sure that these people that I call family now are safe. You know what I'm saying? And that we're in this together. Yeah. And I was like, oh, the next day I woke up and had a fire in my heart that burned so bright. Yeah. Like I was just on it. It changed me. But that was a memorable moment for me.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. You told the story very well. Like you got me in the feels too, man. You took me back. So I appreciate that. That's good. That's good. Awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for telling your story. Thanks for coming on and sharing your wisdom and insight. And I appreciate it. It's been a while, so it's cool to catch up. And
I appreciate it too, man. It's been great catching up with you as well, man. Thanks.
I look forward to seeing what the next 8 years in the Marine Corps does for you, and how it goes.
Yeah, I got aspirations of being a sergeant major, so we'll see if I can get there.
Hey, there we go. Clock's ticking, man. Clock's ticking.
I know. It's ticking. Awesome,
man. Thanks so much.